Imagine you could ask your 9-year-old self what you were going to be like in the future. How closely would that answer resemble who you currently are? I like to think I'm not too far off, but I've definitely missed a few bullet points. For one thing, I don't own my own train. I'm also not a magician, and I don't have a flying car. Last year when I was 26, I would have had to tell my 9-year-old self, I'm sorry, but I'm also not a surfer. But less than a year later, I'm 27 now, I think my 9-year-old self would be really excited about what I've been working on. By at least some measure, I would say that I am now a surfer. And I know some people would disagree. They'd say it hasn't been long enough, or the fact that I do it on a river doesn't count. And there's a chance I could be convinced that's true. But not 9-year-old me. 9-year-old me knows this is surfing. I'm getting dangerously close to being 30 years old. It can be a little depressing at times, but what I know deep down is I've only just begun learning everything I'm ever gonna know how to do. And I know that because just a couple months ago, I had never even stood on a surfboard.
So I've been waking up and photographing the wave at different heights and making sort of a notebook. So hopefully, for future reference, I'll actually know what to look for. Because right now, I really have no clue what the signs of a good wave are.
I think one of my personal favorite feelings on Earth is the feeling of being a moderate beginner. And from what I observe in other people, that's not totally common. A lot of us would far prefer to be experts in something. And I don't think it's wrong to feel that way. It is nice to not look silly when you do something. But you know what else is nice? The feeling of wonder.
I've been skateboarding for a year and a half. I don't know. I just thought skateboarding was cool and I didn't understand it at all. So I wanted to give it a shot.
I have wake surfed once, and that was yesterday. I was really nervous about it, but I was so proud of myself when I actually got on the board. I was really just happy I at least tried. To be honest, I was so relieved. Like, I didn't have anything on my mind after that.
How old were you the first day you went river surfing?
Oh, dude, I was 30. Yeah, now I'm 31. Yeah, so like, you know, now, like right now, I was this old, basically, you know? Like, I definitely didn't stand on it for like the first 25 times I tried to jump on it. But then I threw it out there once and I just kind of like hopped on and I actually made it. I like stood for like 2 seconds and then you just get that bug, you know? And now I'm out here like 6 a.m. like fiending for it every morning. Snow on the ground sometimes, whenever the water's good, you know? So, yeah, man, I love it.
I started river surfing when I was 50. Everybody's supportive, so much fun. I go to a lot of different river waves. So I meet people in each spot, and the river community is amazing.
If you don't learn the foundations of a skill when you're young, it will never have the power to change your life. That's pretty much what we've all been led to believe. But I recently heard a story that counteracts that very idea. If for whatever reason you too decide you want to try river surfing, eventually you will find Mike, because Mike is a co-founder of one of the fastest growing river surfing companies.
How old were you when you stood on your first wave?
I was in my 30s for sure. Like, I'm gonna say, yeah, I was like probably like early to mid 30s, something like that. Yeah, no, I mean, a kid from Cleveland, Ohio learning to surf in Colorado is, no, I didn't have that story in my brain when I was a kid, you know? In the early 2000s, I built a whitewater park in Pueblo, Colorado, and kind of accidentally made a wave. And these guys, these like landlocked kind of surfers that were living in Pueblo, were out there riding it. And I saw these guys, and I immediately called my buddy Zach, and I was like, hey, we should try this. I knew he had surfboards in his garage. So we did. We went down there, this is like 2006 or so, went down there and surfed. And literally on the ride home, Zach, he's like a natural designer, and he just started thinking, he's like, you know, this is a different sport. Like, these boards need to be a little different. And so we started making, he made me this one right here. That was the first board he made for me. And that was meant to be a paddle board that you could river surf. And at the time, I had just built the older version of the Scout Wave. This was back in 2009. And I took the board down there the first time there was any water, and I paddled out of the eddy on it. And I'd kind of been envisioning it all winter, and everything went just like I thought it would. Like, I was standing out there. I stayed there for like 15 minutes, just so stoked. I didn't even really know how to turn. I was just standing there like, what? And so I went back over to the bank, and I called him, and I was like, dude, I think people are going to want to do this. Like, we should start a company doing this together. And that's literally how we started Badfish. Like, that's about how long we thought about it.
Now, I realize 30 is not old, but even so, we have not been conditioned to believe that you can start hobbies at that age and have them turn into entire careers. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you cannot outgrow passion, and there is no age limit on wonder. But in order to let yourself believe that, it is essential to live like Mike.
Don't be embarrassed. Like, it's awesome. It's so good to be a beginner. It is. It's like, in some ways, it's the best part of it, because you'll get the most satisfaction out of the steps that happen at the beginning of learning something than you will when you become like expert level at something. It gets harder and harder. But you go back to a beginner, even, I'm about to turn 50, and even for me, when I start as a beginner now with something, that progression for however far I'm going to get with it is the coolest part. So just don't be embarrassed. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome to suck, and everyone did at some point, So what are you worried about? Enjoy it.
I have an unescapable, sacred allegiance to my 9-year-old self. And for the last couple years, it's been a priority of mine to never feel like I'm letting him down. But this year, that all kind of changed. I realized he had a lot of good ideas, but I'm older than him and better than him. So basically, my new life's purpose is to outdo that motherfucker.
So Shaffer, how long have you been river surfing?
This is my first year.
First year.
First full year.
And how old are you right now?
I'm 47 and a half years old.
That's right. Okay.